So within the coming days of this video being out, in fact, later that night, it really started. Some of the kids from the classroom were pressuring my daughter to shave her head, to dress like a boy, and it's you put this notion in their head, and girls when they go to school, they sometimes coordinate their outfits, and it's just what my daughter does with her friends. But now they're coordinating on how to dress like boys together. So this was play. This wasn't something that they really felt.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Our Watch. I am Tim Thompson. We're going to be talking about a very important topic today, the topic of transgenderism. We have a new book that has been making its way around the schools here in California. Call Me Max, to talk about this a little bit more in depth and what this has done to at least one family here in our state. We've got Steve Schneider with us. Steve, you are a father, and you are now involved in what we see as a very big fight here in the state of California, across the nation. So we're glad you're here with us to tell your story today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I say I'm glad to have you here to tell your story. I'm just sad that it's a story you have to tell. So this book made its way into your child's school and into your child's classroom. Tell us about how that happened and kind of what took place from that point, if you would.
So I received a call from my wife on my way home from work at one point, and she told me, hey, we got to have a talk when you get home. Well, I got it out of her, and she told me that our daughter had come home and said she had to watch a video in school that day regarding transgenderism. So I was pretty blindsided by this. I didn't know what to say. And I was met with a lot of questions when I walked in the house that day. And after speaking with my wife, I found out that the teacher in my daughter's third grade classroom had asked the principal for permission to show a video of a young transgender child reading the book, Call Me Max. And so the principal allowed it. I was never contacted. No one ever asked for my permission if it could be shown or if I wanted to opt out. And this was done because there was a girl that had transitioned in the class to a boy. They're 8-year-olds at this point. And to promote inclusion in the classroom, that's why they decided to do that. So that being said, we spoke as a family, what's going on. And sorry, being interrupted here by my family. Sorry.
Hey, you're a family man. We get it.
They're always coming in here. So, we spoke about it as a family, and we wanted to really see what the video was. So my wife met with the teacher. She gave us a copy of the video. And after kind of going through it, we were concerned, to say the least.
So, okay, so 8 years old, third grade, a child transitioned. We've been talking a lot on our program about this. You look at the medications that even some parents are allowing their children to use, irreversible damage being done to bodies. 8 years old, and this is a point in time where, the child's trying to figure life out, and they're throwing this kind of stuff at them. It's very, very confusing. I feel bad for this 8-year-old third grader who clearly has made this decision, and in my mind is just not old enough to make a decision like that. So I think parents, adults are making that decision for that child, which is sad to say. But this is now affecting your family. The bad, in my opinion, bad decisions, poor decisions on the part of one family are now affecting various families in there, and you're one of those families that it's affected. So you get this news that this is going on. What did this do? You've got a child in this classroom. How did that affect your child?
So within the coming days of this video being out, in fact, later that night, it really started. Some of the kids from the classroom were pressuring my daughter to shave her head, to dress like a boy. And it's you put this notion in their head, and girls, when they go to school, they sometimes coordinate their outfits, and it's just what my daughter does with her friends. But now they're coordinating on how to dress like boys together. So this was play. This wasn't something that they really felt. It's not like they really want to be something else. My daughter is a total girl. She doesn't want to dress like a boy. She doesn't want to play that. It's not what she wants. So there was a lot of peer pressure. This went on for a few weeks. And what I found out was that on the schoolyard, everyone heard about this in the school, even though it was limited to one classroom. All the other kids heard about this, and there were some other things that kind of went on outside the school with other kids. And I found this out from other parents in the same school later. What was unique about this is that when I went to speak with the principal about this in school side and on drop off in the morning, she refused to speak with me. In fact, she ran away from me and denied everything and basically locked herself in the office. So there was no conversation to be had at all with the school at this point.
Yeah, I've experienced this. I've gone in, I've talked to principals, or at least attempted to talk to them, and I've experienced the same exact thing. They run away, they go into their office, they shut the door, they don't want to talk, they don't want to be held accountable. A book like this, like you said, the teacher asked for permission, the principal gave permission. This book was, this was introduced to a bunch of children without the parents' knowledge or consent. And this is the problem we're seeing in California, no parental involvement. Now, this book, I've read through this book, and in this book, it talks about the clothes that a child would wear. So it's very obvious to me that this book was influential in the lives of the children that were there. And you say that they were talking about coordinating their outfits and stuff like that. Well, the book talks about doing that. It talks about, a girl dressing like a boy and going into a girl's restroom and the girl in there thinking it was a boy, so then the girl leaves and then goes to the boys' restroom as a girl. It's just so much confusion here, and now this is involving a whole bunch of students that otherwise would have had nothing to do with this. They were just living their life, playing, being a third grader. There was this pressure placed on your daughter. How did she deal with that pressure?
It was pretty substantial in the beginning. And, she spends her time, she'll play with friends outside that aren't familiar with this, but when she comes back in, we give her a little bit of time on her tablet. She'll play video games or FaceTime friends. And, those are the ones that were causing some problems. And it wasn't just one, it was multiple kids. And, it became so much that she had to put it, I remember she put it down. She came up to me one night and said, "Dad, let's just hang out and watch a movie. I don't want to deal with this. It's stressful." And then same thing when she would come home from school, she would deal with the same stress. And she doesn't need to be going through this at 8 years old. My daughter still believes in the tooth fairy. And I think most of the kids in this class do as well. So to introduce something that's outside the norm is going to clearly take their mind and they're going to fly with it. That's just what kids do.
So it sounds like they were successful in doing that, getting them to take it, run with it. And really that's the thing that we've been looking at in the California school system is getting these kids to run with it, getting them to embrace it, getting them to say, this is what we're about now. You and your wife found out that this was going on. What did you guys do? I mean, the principal doesn't want to talk. She's hiding in her or in her office like a coward, like the coward she is, or he. I don't know if it's a male or female, but regardless, okay, a female. She's coward. She's a coward. She goes into her office and just hides. So, what have you and your wife done to address this now?
This is where it's going to get a little bit irregular, a little crazy. So it took a number of months before I came across another parent in the district that was fighting something else. And when we spoke with each other, I told her my story. She's like, "You have to speak at a board meeting." Well, I've never done this before. I'm not a public speaker. It's not something I'm good at. And I went up, I made my speech, and I let the board know that my phone number was attached to the paper you have to fill out and that I wanted them to call me. Well, I never heard from them. And they never reached out, and they kind of just brushed me off like they didn't care. So I had been putting off speaking with a local newspaper called the Conejo Guardian. And after that, I said, you know what? I'm done. We're going to let people know about this. So I let it go out to the Conejo Guardian. They ran a story titled Maple Elementary Promotes Gender Confusion, I believe. And within days of that, the school was vandalized, and I was the local Antifa and activists in the area reported me to the police saying that they personally saw me doing it. And it wasn't just one or two of them. I was told it was a substantial amount of anonymous tips. I went to the sheriff's department saying that I vandalized the school. And so that led to the police searching my home, investigating me. I was cleared from the crime. Just to throw this in here, the sheriff's department in Ventura County, they're amazing. They really are. They have to follow up on their leads. I don't blame them for what's going on. They're doing their jobs. But at the same time, I had to have officers in my home. And it's a personal thing now. This is what they'll do to silence you.
Right. Right. That's exactly what they want. They want you to quit. They want you to give up. They don't want you to call them out, hold them accountable in any way. Like I said, they're cowards. They go into their office and hide. And this is what we've been dealing with. I'm sorry that you've had to go through that. So you talk to the principal doesn't want to talk. You go to the school board doesn't want to hear it. I've been to the Conejo School Board meetings. I've spoke at them, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There are a bunch of cowards there, and they've got very, very bad intentions for the students at that school. It's obvious that they want this kind of stuff to be there. So you speak to the principal, goes nowhere. School board goes nowhere. Then you've got the sheriff's department, doing their job, but having to follow up on leads. You get blamed for a crime you didn't commit. You get cleared of that. What are you guys going to do now?
So we took it. I remember one of the parents told me that the school board had said, well, if this material is so bad, how come the angry parents aren't here? So say, hey, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to see if I could find some local parents in the school district to come with me. And we had on June 14th, we went in there with about maybe 50 parents, 80 parents, something like that. And we all spoke out. And one by one, the people on the other side that didn't agree with us presented themselves, and they spoke out against us. There was a lot of tears in the room, a lot of yelling. We broke out into the hallway where there is always a police officer there and a school resource officer. And there was some actually really amazing conversations that night. I've said that quite a few times. We were able to speak with 3/4 of parents on the other side of this. And I know they love their children. I love my children. And I try to explain to them that, if you want to teach this to your kids, that's fine. I'm not going to get involved in your home. That's not up to me. But when it comes to my children, hey, give me a heads up. I'd like to take my kid out of this because it's confusing.
Right.
And the majority of them actually agreed with me. It was really only 2 or 3 people there that fought continuously against us. But the others, they had no argument against me. They knew that a parent has a right to decide.
Right. Yeah. And I found what you're saying is absolutely true. People who are not in alignment with me, with my biblical values, of course, Judeo-Christian values, the same values that this nation was founded upon. I have those values. They may not have the same values, but when we do talk to each other, we do agree that these are things that we shouldn't be talking to children about. These are conversations best left for the dinner table. Let the families discuss these things on their own. But there's definitely this agenda. This agenda has now affected you, your wife, your children, the children in that classroom, and you're doing something about it. And we want our audience to know there's something they can do about it as well. And we're going to be talking more about that. We're up for our time today. We're all done for our time today, but I'm going to have you back. We're going to talk more about what our audience can do to be an effective part of the solution for what's going on in the government-ran school system right here in California and abroad. So, Steve Schneider, thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to have you back next time right here on Our Watch with Tim Thompson.